Wait, yeah.
Everyone,
That's funny.
listen up, because I don't have a gavel, because we're not doing adjournment. Okay, so thank y'all for coming, and for those of you who sent me your hot takes, this will come into play later during the meeting. But so we're gonna start this is gonna be like kind of our first working Senate where we're actually like not passing legislation today, and we're just gonna kind of work with each other, get to know each other, and get more comfortable of talking in front of each other. So, but first we're gonna start with executive officer reports, starting with our president.
Hey all, first thing I wanted to say was congratulations to Haley Walton on winning the bracket competition. Just picked the final four correctly, so you officially won. We had President's Council last Thursday. Dylan got a lot of good reports on safety walk, which will be coming up soon. The SCPS is booked depending on the urgency of your situation. So if you're having any problems with that, please let me know, because we'll probably talk about it again next President's Council. If you have any feedback regarding shuttles, we heard that routes have been combined without telling students, and times of routes have increased. So if you'll have any feedback on that. Anybody? Okay. And then we're doing director and director interviews this week. Jill might talk more about this later, but we'll be having selections soon. And then cabinet will be full, which is super exciting. So we're continuing to work on our SGA exec goals. That's it for me. Hope you all have a great meeting.
Next report from the treasurer.
I'm sorry. Lucy made me spill my milkshake earlier, so I'm a little heated about it. But not much for me. Today at 12, we met with Pearson with Balfour Rings. Just to talk about goals for the year, talk about ring sales, talk about plans we have for the rings at the ceremony. One thing that we're looking to implement or bring back is the turning of the ring. That usually takes place during graduation. So it wouldn't be happening this graduation, but maybe it could be something that we can research in the summer or the fall graduation. So like, I don't know how much you guys know about it, but usually when you wear your ring to graduation, you wear it facing you, like with the turning of the ring. It's like turns out as you go and conquer the new world. So we'll be doing that. And as JDJ alluded to earlier in his report, there are cabinet interviews for director and AD positions to fill out the rest of our cabinet. So by the end of this week, I'm looking to have a full team under the treasurer. So thank you.
Next report from the executive chief of staff.
Everyone else kind of get used to it, but we are finishing up our director interviews this week, and so we will have our full teams in place by Monday at the latest, and so that is really exciting. Other things from my branch is we are working on our Camp Royal marketing, so that way we'll have gimmicks to pass out throughout the summer, as well as a little booklet encouraging freshmen to get involved in SGA in various ways. And then lastly, something I just wanted to put on y'all's calendar is Miss Homecoming nominations are open right now. And so those will be closing, is it April 7th? 7th. And so if you're a part of any other organizations, just make sure they're aware so that way they can nominate someone.
Thanks, Jill. Next report from executive vice president of initiatives.
All right, hey everyone. So we had a really busy week full of meetings that went really well. And I'm gonna let Mr. Hilton talk on that a little bit more later on, but just a couple things from me. We had a dining meeting and a meeting with the rec this week, talking about the fresh blends ideas, which we got some pretty good responses from both of them, so that's looking good. Still got some work to do on that though to get it sort of implemented. Still working on some of the logistics with those respective areas. some good news, just in case y'all didn't hear about this from the Auburn University newsletter that was sent out, I think last week. As far as health and wellness are concerned, the College of Education and the College of Nursing are launching a new initiative for increased mental health services across rural Alabama high schools and school systems, and they got a grant of over $350,000, and they're planning on getting $3 million more in total funding over 5 years. So that's going to be really awesome. Really happy about that. Safety Walk's coming up. It's coming up Monday, April 17th. We are getting a lot of good work done for that. Getting a lot of good feedback, like John David said. We are about to start taking our first baby steps for OSP this fall in the coming weeks. And also another safety alert. I don't know if y'all read this. It was sent to all of our emails, but AUPD received a report from 4 girls that were allegedly had their drinks drugged on St. Patrick's Day that they received from complimentary from the driver of a party bus. So I would just encourage all of y'all to keep your eyes peeled and keep your ears open for things like this going on, and make sure to tell your friends and constituents to stay safe, because things like this do happen, and we want to keep everyone here safe and happy and healthy all the time. So that's pretty much it for me. I'll let Hilton talk on the rest.
Thanks, guys. So that concludes our executive officer reports. If any committee chairs or anyone else would like to give a report, now would be the time.
At large. Yeah, so I'll just run through some of the meetings we had this week. Just a really great week of meetings, really encouraging. We met with the rec director, Eric Smith, as well as the dining team, which was really encouraging. So with dining, we have a new meal plan. It's pretty similar to the old one. Where it really affects students is if you're a sophomore living on campus, you have the option this year to have 50 swipes that you can use at any time rather than the 5 swipes per week. So I feel like that's a really good change. Also, in the student center, the blends downstairs is moving upstairs to where the Starbucks is now. And they're putting a full service Toro sushi where the blends is now, with like full service, same as the village, and they're adding a hibachi station. So that's cool. Yeah, let's see what else we got. Sydney and Haley Walden are working on a community dinner, which is really exciting, in the Student Activities Center, so that should be in the works. And then with health and wellness, with Eric, the Eric Smith meeting, we had, his biggest concern was with parking going into the future. He's a very future-focused guy, and he said that parking and figuring out how to get students from off campus to be able to get to the rec without getting parking tickets is a big concern of his. He's also very open to the Fresh Blends smoothie machine idea, and we're working with those people to try to schedule a meeting with him and them to try to work out some details. And we're also going to do some benchmarking as far as pricing and figuring out how we can get those on campus soon. But yeah, that's all for me. Thank y'all.
Rudolph Engineering, academic affairs is kind of like fully in feedback mode, so I gotta ask a couple questions to get the room's kind of feel on it. One thing brought for you today by Jack was, who was in the College of Business in here? I know who isn't. Do you guys have any classes that offer a test outside of your normal class time that is not defined in your syllabus or in your registration information? Notice a lot. Do I need to rephrase the question? What's the maybe?
Like, I don't know if it's in the syllabus. Like, I just had a test and my class is at 11, but like for some reason our tests are at 6 o'clock on Monday and like everyone just hates it. So I don't know if it's in the syllabus.
So I'm in an asynchronous class right now, and obviously with asynchronous, you don't meet us at a specific time, but right now, she has the tests opening on Fridays and closing on Sundays. And like, I'm pretty sure this next one opens on Good Friday and closes on Easter Day.
Okay, great. I'm gonna publish a form in coming days, so when I publish that and put it in the group chat or the group or an email, I would love if you guys would respond to that. Those,
I have a 11 a.m. class, 2 p.m. class that takes tests 6 to 8 on Thursdays.
I'll need all that feedback, put it in my form. Also, we're gonna be publishing another form this week that I want you to fill out on behalf of career pathways and what that might look like for your senior year and like a 0 credit hour course-like environment. And I have one more thing. Yes, I was approached by somebody from the Black Alumni Council, and they're looking at providing academic aid to students from different backgrounds and socioeconomic groups that have struggled paying for their books. So we want to see what that may look like and kind of see who can, financially back that. That's all that we have. Thank you.
Over at large, we finally have the attendance quiz on Canvas open. So can one of y'all check and make sure that it's, just to explain that super fast, it's supposed to be open from today at 7:30 until next Monday at 6:30. So just whenever you complete your office hour and involvement hour, you submit when you did it and then some sort of proof, whether that's like an email of the feedback you got, or I don't know if you want to send me a selfie of where your office hours are. I don't really care as long as you send me something. Yeah, that's all for me.
Or student veterans. Hi everyone, my name is Molly Orr. I recognize some people, but I was the student veteran liaison for last term. And I'm here today to introduce y'all to our new SGA liaison, Boone Scramwell. Liaison. I am very confident that he will do a great job. But you might still see me maybe subbing in if he can't make it or anything. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. The student veterans actually have a whole new group of officers now. So, and Boone is actually the VP of the ASBA too, so he's killing it already. But yeah, so the veterans have a lot of exciting things planned. The new group is gonna do amazing things. And yeah, we're excited to share everything that we do with y'all, so thank you.
Any final reports? Okay, now we're gonna move into what do we have planned? I'm gonna give y'all a case scenario, and then we're just gonna have a conversation about how you would go about this situation. Okay, so the first scenario, a student comes to you with a concern that is extremely specific and may not be feasible. How do you honor the student's needs while advocating for what's realistic?
You could tell them that you'll look into it and do as much research as you can, but not promise anything. That?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know for me what always works well is like being really, really hyper aware of the Auburn University work chart and what we do and what we don't do and what certain people do and direct them in the right direction. There may be a whole office or a whole staff person that handles that. And if there isn't, there's a lot of support staff that can help with that, like people in this room today. So let's not give anyone any false hope that we can move mountains that are not even in our hemisphere, So that's what I'm trying to really help.
Insight on what they would do in this situation? Okay, move on to the second scenario. So after talking with the President of the Senate, you schedule a meeting with an administrator to talk about an initiatives you want to work on this term. What is the correct etiquette before, during, and after this meeting? So you don't have to give all 3 points, just like one thing that you would do to show your professional etiquette.
During the meeting, I'll make sure I was intentional with my time by having an actual blueprint of what I want to talk about and have like actual bullet points and deliverables that I want in the meeting.
Yeah, maybe like an agenda. You could send that to them before when you're meeting and you're like, perfect, I'll see you then. Here's the points I want to talk about. Something like the agenda that I send to y'all, or we could send out a template if that's something that would be helpful.
Just doing your research and making sure you're reaching out to the right administrator, because if you're expecting them to do some homework for you, then you need to do your homework with them in advance and make sure you're reaching out to the right person. This is like for meeting with the president of the Senate or an administrator, but like making sure to follow up with another email, like thanking them for their time and for just being considerate of the work and the time that they put into the meeting, and making sure that you make yourself available afterwards as well.
I know like before, what they really, I've seen work really well is, particularly like doing your homework, oftentimes they have a lot on their mind, and they may not know a thing that you're talking about, but they're gonna give you time on their calendar. And it's not really their job to research it beforehand, because they're a whole administrator, they got things to do. So like I'll overshare in the beginning, so we walk into the meeting, not having to have at least 10 or 15 minutes on questions that I can answer before I get there. So oftentimes, whatever you know they need to know before going to the meeting, share it with their assistant, share it with someone on their team that they can be pulled in, so they can come in with this, with pre-recorded information or with an answer or with somewhere to direct you.
And also sometimes that follow-up email leads a better relationship to end with, so that you can pick up where you left off. Like, so if I'm gonna say, thank you for your time, can't wait to get back to you on these action items that I'm working on, then you could follow back up, and it's just like an easier flow of communication. Yeah.
Also, just like going in and having the mentality of also being like a really good listener, and listening to what they have to say first, and not going in like with, I'm gonna, push this, because chances are they're not gonna accept everything or all the feedback you have or all the initiatives you have. So just kind of, I like to say just kind of choosing your battles with some stuff. If there's some initiatives that you really feel strongly about and you feel are pretty feasible, then being clear and firm with those, but also being able to pivot and listen to them and listen to what they have to say, because they are the ones deciding, and a lot of times will give you that really good feedback. So prioritize the relationship over the initiative sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes administrators are gonna say no, and if even it's something that you really want done, just maybe take it a step back, like zoom out on the problem, be like, okay, what other direction, like you said, pivot. Anything else?
On behalf of someone who works with administrators quite a bit, and as someone who has seen really successful SGA students walk into meetings, what everyone's wearing tonight is a great example of how to present yourself during a meeting. So wearing business casual or business professional is excellent. Everyone in this room should have an SGA name tag, so I highly recommend bringing that. Having a Padfolio or something to be taking notes with, so you're not like taking notes on your cell phone during that meeting. That's just like a couple like hard skill examples of ways to present yourself well as an SGA student, because we have high expectations of y'all because y'all are so excellent.
Any other questions about meeting with administrators at all? Okay. So before we move on to the third scenario, next. I'm gonna go over writing emails a little bit, like the structure of when you're emailing administrators or someone who's just not a senator. When you're like spacing out your paragraphs, sometimes less is more. I know that y'all sometimes don't read my full emails, but if I put less in there, it's more likely that you're gonna get to the bottom of it. Bold the important information, so if someone's just glancing at it, they can see like, oh, today was business casual meeting, and I see that in bolded, so that's like something different that'll register in my brain. Using bullet points and spacing, like if you're listing out action items, using those bullet points, like this is what I'm gonna be working on. Thanking them for the time at the end of the email, at the end of a meeting, thanking them for their time, because these people who you're meeting with, they do have busy schedules, and they're doing you a favor, not doing you a favor, but they're taking time out of their day. And so are you, but we're also a student. So you have to thank them for the time, and they'll probably thank you for your time right back. Also, the email signature that I sent out to all of you, use that. It makes it look a little bit more professional, and it makes you sound a little bit more fancy. So any questions on that? Okay, next we have what copying versus blind copying is. So this is an example coming from me. If I wanted to work on an athletics initiative, I'm gonna send it to Dylan and to the AVP of athletics because they're the ones who I want to inform on this initiative. Then I'm gonna copy John David because I'm gonna let him know what I'm doing. So keep him in the loop, keep our exec team all on the same page. And then I'm gonna also copy Jack Hilton because he's over student affairs, also to keep cabinet and senate kind of like on the same page. And they can see, George and Dylan can see that I'm copying them because, so they don't have to keep them in the loop because we're all keeping each other in the loop. And then I'm gonna blind copy Jamie, so she always knows what's going on, and Lucy because Lucy's the pro temp, you should be copying her on all the emails, but she's not gonna directly maybe like have a response because she's not in athletics. I just wanna let her know what I'm doing, and like, it doesn't really matter if she's copied on it, I just want her in the loop. So if you're emailing an administrator, you don't want me to be copied on it, then you can blind copy me and they won't see that I'm copied on it. So on Dylan's side of this, he would just see, it's an email to him and George, and then John David and Jack are also getting the email. Does that make sense? So scenario number 3, there have been multiple students throughout the semester who have approached SGA wanting to address the same issue of mental health of Auburn students. What are the first steps you would take to address this concern?
I want to know like what their concerns are before we start narrowing in. Like I know it's mental health, but like what aspects of that before you start narrowing in?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of talk sometimes of people wanting to expand psychological services or getting times that are you're not able to get times because there's such a long waiting list. Things like that, expansion of psychological services, but it also could be just the topic of mental health in general.
Asking the subcommittee on student affairs where they are with that, like Georgia's health and wellness, so reaching out to her and seeing if she's already involved with the project wellness.
Yeah. That's also just being aware of what we're working on, kind of like listening during the reports, because if, and this is another example, but if someone in cabinet is working on something that we're working on, y'all work together. Because if we're going to the same people with the same things, it just kind of is gonna get confusing. Might as well, we're better together and we're stronger together and we can only get more done. And so that's the same with y'all. Even though like y'all are different colleges, y'all are different committees, you can work with any one of the senators. Anything else to add on that? Okay. Next scenario. While benchmarking and researching other schools, you see that another SEC institution has an exciting service or resource on their campus that you'd like to bring to Auburn.